You're gonna see me angry. Ooh.
All aboard the toxic gossip train.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I cover nostalgic, obscure, or otherwise strange content. I understand that this is not the typical type of video that I make. Usually I just watch an episode of Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction and we all go, wow, what a great time we all had in the 90s. That's not today. I'm so sorry to say that's not today. I have not been this angry in a very, very, very long time. But I promise that you're not going to see me cover YouTube drama or whatever, at the very least for a very, very long time, unless something else makes me this angry, which in 3 years of YouTube, I'm not going to say that nothing has made me this angry, because right when I started, the whole Shane Dawson clusterfuck was happening. But this has made me angry in a special, unique way. Let's put it that way. And let's talk about why. Speaking of clusterfucks, this video is going to be one of those videos where I rant and then I try to kind of keep it organized on the post-production end of it. We'll fix it in post. It doesn't feel like a great idea, but the last time I did this, the Scamilton video was made, and that's the most popular video on this channel. A quarter of you found me through that video, so maybe it'll be an alright video.
Hey guys, it's me, Miranda. Just really excited because I'm about to show you something I've been working on for a really long time.
I genuinely don't even know where to start with this whole situation. Basically, this giant scandal has hit the internet in every corner of the internet. Even people I know who aren't in the YouTube space quite like I am have seen at least whispers of it. And everybody's talking about it. And before someone accuses me of jumping on the toxic gossip train, I swear to God that's a quote if you haven't seen it. The only reason this video is making me talk about this current situation is because it highlights something that I have been thinking about for weeks, if not months, and have been toying with doing a video talking about it just because it makes me so angry on its own, and then this happened and it just blew it up and kind of put a magnifying glass up to this whole problem. So let's just start with the current drama and work our way back, I guess. If you've ever seen my face on your screen before, you're probably wondering why this is the topic I chose to talk about this morning. Usually I just kind of hang out in my little corner of the internet and I talk about movies that are old, and I kind of rant about them to people my age or older, typically, and I just kind of stay there. If YouTube is this big city, and people are outside doing things and life is happening, me and my audience, we're just kind of chilling in a little loft apartment, just being did you see that time that Barney blew up at the 1997 Thanksgiving Day parade? That was wild. But today I crawled out of the floorboards of that little loft apartment that thing in what was it, Evil Dead? I was awakened like a vampire in a bad movie and summoned out of my peaceful little granny apartment because of a ukulele and a YouTuber I used to watch when I was 13. By now, I'm sure you're aware, if you're in any capacity online, even a tenth of the amount that I'm online, I'm sure you've seen the ukulele song heard round the world.
All aboard!
But if you're not like me and you have a life, let me just give you the cliff notes. There's this YouTuber who's been on the platform for 15 years, no exaggeration, named Colleen Ballinger. Colleen Ballinger got famous from playing this one character called Miranda Sings. Miranda Sings was a parody, kind of like a satire character of people who think they can sing but in fact cannot.
I feel like I've been locked up tight for a century of lonely nights, waiting for someone to release me.
She basically started vlogging as this character that she made more and more obviously fake, as this character basically tries to get famous even though the character is canonically young and canonically bad at everything. My mom used to say she's like Mr. Bean if Mr. Bean wasn't funny and very loud. Colleen eventually started other channels where she just posted as herself. She kind of had like a reverse Hannah Montana situation. She put on the very flimsy disguise and she got worse at being famous. I don't know. But this character, as much as its creator does not want to admit that publicly, given light of what's been going on, this character is geared towards children. Colleen, the real person, has now infamously stated that the character is PG-13.
She's PG-13. It says that on my website, and it's always been that way. And that's why you won't find my videos on the YouTube Kids app, anyway.
It's always been that way. It's always stated that. But before we get into that and the other things that she stated, I just want to point out, like, everybody that watches this character and likes this character, with few exceptions, are children. And Miranda Sings is a child-friendly brand. Everything from talk show appearances to packaging around merch products to thumbnails in videos makes it very clear who the target audience is that's watching this. Miranda may very well have started out conceptualized as something for adults, but as a YouTuber, I can tell you, a much smaller YouTuber, but technically a YouTuber all the same, YouTube tells you in real time the demographics of people that are watching your content. For example, mine shows overwhelming majority 18 and up. The bulk of you are my age, hovering around your mid-20s. Some of you are older, less of you are younger, and like very, very few of you are still in high school. That just happens to be because I like to talk about old people stuff. My videos typically start with, hey, so my grandma and I used to watch. And then I show you something that you probably used to watch on TV Land back when TV Land had actual vintage TV on it, because again, yes, I am old. My mom rounded up my age to 30 the other day and I almost cried. Anyway, getting off topic. My audience is a majority people my age. That's who I make the content for. When I pick topics, I'm first and foremost picking topics that I'm interested enough in to talk about it for like an hour. But also I'm thinking about what other people my age would like. I obviously can never control who's watching my stuff, but that's the audience that I'm targeting. Obviously, we're grateful for everyone here, but if you remember what the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour was, then you are at the forefront of my mind when I'm thinking about topics that might do well on this channel. All this to say, Colleen Ballinger knows that the majority of people watching her are children, and she's leaning into that, and she has been for years because that's what was popular for her. And that's fine. If you're gonna make a content aimed at kids, that's valiant. We need people who have a passion and a talent for making good, quality content for kids. I cover a lot of stuff from my own childhood, children's content that people are nostalgic about, and wish, oftentimes, that we had more of it that was better. However, and I know this is crazy, if you're making content for children, the content needs to be appropriate for children. I know, right? It's weird. Colleen was not doing that. There's been all kinds of allegations that she targeted her content to children, but then made a lot of things that were inappropriate for children, and then, most disturbingly on top of that, was directly in content with young children where she was being inappropriate with them.
Just whenever she was on that Hawaii trip, she would send me Snapchats of like Eric shirtless getting off of the pool or getting out of the pool, and she would caption it and be like, so sexy. And I mean, I was like 15 at this time.
We had a whole thing like about tampons.
We don't have inside joke.
Oh my God, the tampon inside joke with Colleen about the ass. And then she goes, picks at him, whatever. But there were so many that she actively started because she had this like weird sexual, like, relationship, like jokes with us.
Lots of other people have deep dived into the dark, just awful underbelly of this whole situation. I will link a bunch of videos if you would like to see a deep dive. But with all that being said, You know, that's kind of the background of this situation. You've got this YouTuber that a whole group of people grew up with, myself included. I mean, I wasn't the biggest Merfanda ever. That's what her fans are called. Were called. But I remember watching these videos with my cousin and, you know, just thinking she was the funniest person ever. And I grew out of it because, of course, again, this is children's content. And not like that evergreen children's content like Sesame Street where, like, everybody gets excited when they hear the theme song coming on no matter how old you are. Like, this is just for kids, allegedly. So you've got a situation that we've all seen before. You've got this YouTuber who was once beloved and now has all these horrible accusations levied against them. And here's where things start to deviate from the original plot.
I didn't realize it was my responsibility to decide what was appropriate for every kid to see.
By this point in the story, Colleen has spent almost 3 weeks having all of these allegations reignited, because this wasn't even the first time. Back in 2020, somebody had come out with allegations previously, and she basically did what everybody thought at the time was a really good response apology type video, and really did a great job of making this child, because he was still 17, which made him older than he was when she was sending him her underwear in the mail, but still a minor. She did a really good job of making him look like a liar, because not much of the proof that we now have was circulating. Now it is. Now there's all sorts of text messages and DMs and video clips from her live shows and all kinds of stuff that back up the claims of him and now others who are speaking out against her. So, how do you think she is going to respond after she's had 3 weeks to sit back and listen to this criticism and then maneuver the best way to salvage her career? She wrote a ukulele song about it. This woman really said, I'm gonna be the next James Charles, who defended her, by the way. Not if I can't be Jason Mraz first, and just like busted out a ukulele and sang for 10 minutes. And she didn't even say sorry.
So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you.
This woman released the most bizarre apology video I have ever seen, and I've seen some YouTubers apologize for a variety of things. I have never seen the old ukulele extended version. This woman tried to Taylor Swift her way out of this and it didn't work. In the 10-minute, 19-second video, I just noticed that Sponsor Block has flagged this part right here at about the 7-minute mark as unpaid self-promotion. Anyway, in this 10-minute, 19-second video, she complains about how everyone is being mean to her over gossip and rumors.
All aboard the toxic gossip train.
She calls the song the Toxic Gossip Train. You see how I said it was going to be a reference? I know a lot of you have probably seen this, but let me just give you the greatest hits. Maybe the mid-season recap episode.
I haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break.
We're not even 30 seconds in. She's complaining that she's not doing so great. Completely forgetting the, victims who probably aren't doing so great either. I'm also going to link Adam McIntyre's video because he's her main accuser, and I think he deserves all the support and respect in the world for being as brave as he was and then being called a liar for 3 years. But anyway.
You're chugging down the tracks of misinformation, the toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station.
Who's manipulating, Colleen? Who? Is it the children? Are you saying the children who you asked in a group chat if they're still virgins? Are they the ones manipulating you?
Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say.
Every time I think about or hear or witness this clip, I lose a little bit of time off the end of my life, I think.
I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say. So.
Comes in with her cat from Victorious bars, just like, they didn't say I couldn't sing.
He didn't say I couldn't sing.
What a loophole. She should be like a contract dispute lawyer after this, because she definitely doesn't have a YouTube career anymore. Sorry, I know I'm not usually this just pissed, but I'm pissed.
I was just trying to be besties with everybody. It's kind of like when you go to like a family gathering, you know, and there's a weird aunt there, keeps coming up to you and going like, "Hey girl, what's the tea?" And you're like, ugh.
She likens herself to the creepy aunt at family gatherings. Always a great thing to aspire to be.
I feel like I can already hear the comments on this video. She's gaslighting, manipulating. Oh, she's a narcissist and a rat. I would never make a mistake like that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that all of you are perfect, so please criticize me.
Yeah, that's not really the own that she thinks it is it? Because yeah, I'm a person who fucks up all the time. But I've never asked a kid for ass pics, you know? There's a kind of there's a wide gap between those things. And usually I'm the first to try to give grace, give benefit of the doubt, because I believe it's thundering really loudly. Even Thor's pissed off right now. I try to give grace because there's this little part of me whenever somebody fucks up that knows that everybody needs grace, and when I need grace for my mistakes, how am I supposed to ask for it if I can't give it to other people? But that all goes out the window right here, because these are not mistakes. This is a conscious pattern of very weird behavior. Did I tell you about the underwear yet?
There were times in the DMs when I would overshare.
Can you imagine if an adult Disney Channel star was in group chats with underage fans, using them for free labor, telling them graphic details of their sex life, publicly posting sexually charged content targeted at kids, then going on tour and making kids mimic explicit acts?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that all of you are perfect.
I also find it funny because I've been spending the past 3 days hearing this song replay in my head and wondering what this particular melody reminds me of.
And add some lies to it and pulverize it and stab it with knives and ruin a life. And
I think it reminds me of this part of Art is Dead from Bo Burnham.
That every day can't be about him, there's other people, you selfish asshole.
Which I think is so beautifully perfect for this scenario. But yeah, basically, in a nutshell, everybody is losing their mind because this woman groomed children and then sang a little ukulele song about how she's not sorry about it. But I'm not just talking about this because it's popular. God knows I hardly ever do that. This channel is just like every SEO strategist's living nightmare. I'm talking about it because in this whole shitstorm, people started talking about a lot of other shady things she did and about the fact that, you know, she's been making kids content this whole time, even though she swears she didn't. But she's been making this content for kids that isn't really for kids. And one of the things that I took a lot of interest in was the fact that back in 2015, I guess she wrote a book from the perspective of her character. And this was supposed to be a self-help book for children. It's actually listed under like Simon & Schuster's children section, collection, projects, whatever it's called. And there's a ton of inappropriate stuff in that book. I will also link, I'm just going to be linking a whole bunch of videos today. I will link Rachel Oates' video that is, I just watched it earlier this morning before I came in here and started losing my shit to you guys. But she read and dissected the entire book and uncovered some truly terrible things in it. And it got me thinking about something that I was already thinking about, which is we cover a lot of content on this channel, and a big fixture has been over the past year or so covering books on this channel in the form of live stream cover content, like covering it live with you guys, reading it live, and discussing and dissecting it with you guys. And more times than I can count on one hand have we come across books that make me uncomfortable as a full-grown adult woman that are supposed to be kids' books.
Tyra Y.
I need so many showers.
Now, all the books I'm going to be talking about here, there's literally VOD footage of it on the channel, because I leave all my VODs up. So I'll be putting clips from that into this video. But wow, is there a myriad of just things that I'm just like, uh-oh, we don't say that, or shouldn't say that, or oh god, I don't want to think about that. And many of these books I personally love, and before you get mad at me, just know that I'm not trying to like cancel these books or tell you not to like them, because a lot of them are well-reputed kids' books from when I was a kid, and I and many people out there, probably a lot of you, are still nostalgic about it. We can be nostalgic about things and also look at them with a critical eye. I love Wishbone. I think Wishbone is one of the most wholesome things out there. That does not make me comfortable with the fact that they just use the G slur over and over again in one specific chapter.
Nope, we don't say that, gallery.
I understand that it's decades old now, but that doesn't make it okay. You guys know I love Nancy Drew books more than most things, and collect and cover the content to this day, but I sure wish this wasn't one of the titles. Perhaps you're thinking that's just a honest mix-up because it happened long enough ago that people didn't know. On that topic, before we move on, as we move away from the racist tidbits that are in some of these books for children and into the innuendo space, let me tell you about a couple bits that I'm genuinely not sure if it was intentional or not. On top of being a Nancy Drew collector, I am a Goosebumps collector. If you've been in my community for a little while, you already know where I'm going with this. There are several, especially early Goosebumps books. Again, I love Goosebumps. Don't get me wrong. But there are several bits that I swear sound wrong coming from a kid's book. I know that my brain is broken from a childhood of growing up on the internet, but like, there's this. There's this.
Good looking boy, she said, giving his chin a hard squeeze. He likes the girls? Wow. She lowered her face to his. You got a girlfriend? She said, her pale face right above his, so close he could smell her breath, which was sour.
There's the most infamous one here in our community. Stay Out of the Basement, where the evil plant dad is up to some very interesting things in more ways than one.
Plant dad removed another man's clothes for unexplained reasons.
That last example from Stay Out of the Basement has become a huge meme in my community. That night was the invention of what we like to call plant zaddy. And from what I remember about that specific book, regardless of intention, it was mostly just awkwardly funny because the character in the fictional scenario was an adult, and we were a bunch of adults sitting around laughing in about midnight one night reading this book for children. Same can kind of be said, I think, for Slappy's situation, because he's at least adult coded. I don't like the Monster Blood one, though. Like, Goosebump fans know that you don't need extra reasons to hate Monster Blood, but like, here's an extra reason. I don't like that one.
He likes the girls?
If this is an iceberg, we're kind of still on the top, right? Let's go down a notch. Sailor Moon is one of the most beloved magical girl animes of all time. I've done my own little share of Sailor Moon content since joining the fandom last year, and I have a very big Sailor Moon video coming out soon. There's a few things in Sailor Moon, by nature of just it being a magical girl anime, that get debated to this day about whether or not they're appropriate given the fact that Sailor Moon is made for kids. One thing that a lot of people, me included, when I first started watching Sailor Moon didn't understand was the fact that when the Sailor Scouts magically change into their Sailor Scout uniforms from their regular clothes, they're not supposed to be naked. That's really awkward to say because the characters are canonically 14. Several different Sailor Moon fans have explained to me that at least that one part is fine because it's just supposed to be like their silhouette. Like, you're not supposed to be like literally, it's not supposed to be them naked, right? Like, that's not, it's a whole thing. That one debate could be like a whole video. But anyway, Sailor Moon fans are a lovely bunch, and they don't like when people choose to be creepy with the, again, canonically teenage characters. So Moonies, you're really gonna hate this.
Make up, she yelled. With that, she started spinning around, her school uniform disappearing for a second, leaving her naked. That's not what happens. Leaving her naked. Was she really totally naked at the moment? She wasn't completely sure because it was only for a split second. Hopefully she at least had her underwear on. What the fuck?
These are clips from a live stream that I did just a week or two ago, reading the first junior novelization of a series of 8 books that I found for cheap on eBay that I didn't even know existed until I did some digging into Sailor Moon while doing research for this other bigger project. Basically, it's a series of 8 junior novels that are novelizations of the Deke dub of Sailor Moon, the infamous 90s original English dub that, like, kids bopified the show and, like, really heavily censored it, but that, again, is a whole other topic.
Serena had been attracted to Andrew since the first time she came into the arcade over a year ago. He kind of reminded Serena of her dad.
I did a little bit of digging because I just needed to know some background about the person who wrote that. Because, again, me and my adult audience were very, very uncomfortable, given the fact that this is something electively written by a very real dude about a teenager. A fictional teenager, but a teenager nonetheless. Obviously, don't harass anybody, don't look anybody up. But as best as I can find, meaning this is who's credited on WikiFandom and a couple other places as being the writer of this particular book, as well as the second book in the series before the other 6 books were written by somebody else. This guy's name is Stu Levy, and he's got a very storied portfolio, let's just say that. This man is the founder, CEO, and chief creative officer of the manga media company Tokyo Pop. He also apparently produces, directs, and writes for graphic novels, film, and television. He also holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Business, as well as being a graduate of law school. He's written for a bunch of other things. He also produced a number of web and mobile-based shows distributed throughout MySpace, YouTube, and Verizon's Vcast, whatever that was. He also apparently is a part-time DJ, or was, whose stage name apparently was DJ Milky. I'm not sure why I told you all of that, but I found out that information at 2:30 in the morning, and I just wanted you to know it. The amount of ick that we all got reading this book, which is clearly meant for younger girls, knowing that it was written by an adult man, was swift and powerful. We hated it. I was a little confused though, because while it's not the most popular book on Goodreads, it's also not gotten any other really negative reviews. I thought a bunch of people would be talking about how inappropriate it was, because that's immediately what me and my mods and everybody else in my live stream thought. Feel free to go back and watch the whole thing if you think I took something out of context. But yes, it was very disturbing. I lost a little bit of sleep over that one the following night, just because it was gross. It's moments like this where I have to kind of look to the other people watching my stream, and this is where the benefit of covering things with a live audience comes in, is being able to look at others and be like, am I overreacting or is this weird? And to have a bunch of other people be like, no, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm glad we're all on the same page. Moving on. Animorphs is a book series that is honestly in so many ways wonderful. We've covered a lot of them here on this channel. If you don't know anything about them or just kind of vaguely know them as those books with the weird covers of the kids morphing into animals. It's basically a big allegory story for children about the perils of war and why war is never positive and how there are no winners in war and just the traumas and disasters that come from war. It's actually a very powerful series, especially considering that it was published in the 90s by Apple Books for a preteen to early teen audience. I also commend the author, K.A. Applegate, as well as her husband. I know he also helped her write them. But I commend them for voluntarily making every single one of the books free online in PDF form for anybody who wants to download them. That's how we got access to the entire back catalog, and we're reading our way through them. Those books can be very heavy. We're admittedly on hiatus from covering them right now, partially because there's so many of them covering them week after week, especially as the subject matter gets darker and darker. Was a lot for me. I know they're children's books, but like some of them can be a lot. Alexa, stop! Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I thought it was like Visser 1 coming to kill me. Like, how dare you not cover all of my masterpiece novels? Anyway, the books can be very, very intense, even though they're made for a young audience, in a lot of ways that I think are positive. But then there are these other ways that I don't even necessarily know how intended they are all the time, where it can feel very inappropriate because there's, God, how do I even say this? There's two characters who are cousins, and the way that they talk about each other oftentimes sounds inappropriate. I'm gonna put some clips in here.
I would probably think Jake was good looking, except that he's my cousin. They really make it. That's all I can do is just.
To be clear, this is one of those ones where I don't think it was necessarily intentional. I just think it's something that wasn't well thought through. However, something that was intentional in the books that I found very disturbing, and again, you can call me overly sensitive. There's this one book very early on where a character who has been permanently changed into a hawk. Again, a child. He's fighting with his brain back and forth to try to maintain his humanity in his brain and not lose it all to the hawk brain. And he has to consciously, as a child, fight the urge to mate with a female hawk. And that was too weird for me. Maybe that's just me. You know, I don't think it is, but like maybe, and again, Animorphs is great. Please don't come for me, Animorphs fandom. But it's just little things like that it really bugged me. And I'm a full adult. And like, you know, with this series particularly, it just seems overwhelming sometimes where I'm not even sure when we're on live how to properly reacts to certain things. Like, you get these two characters who are intentionally or not written to speak about each other as cousins in a way that just feels weird. And even I'm caught in between, like, is this something that we can cover with nervous laughter? Oh, they're gonna keep saying it for 15 more books? Okay, well now I'm just graduating to just being uncomfortable truly, and now I'm just angry. By the 16th one, I'm just kind of angry. Again, I know somebody is going to be in the comments saying that I'm way too sensitive and that I'm too online and that none of this stuff is a big deal. And like, I'm not going to tell anybody how to parent their kid. I don't have kids. That sounds quite frankly terrifying. I dissect children's and family content a lot of times with my adult audience. I would just encourage parents to be a little bit careful and a little discerning about what you're giving your kid. I'm not saying not to give them any of the books from any of these series. Just, you know what you're giving them and maybe just have some conversations with them about, oh, well, this is outdated and we don't say this anymore, or, well, this is maybe comes across as a little inappropriate. I don't know. I'm not going to give parenting advice because I'm the least qualified person in the world to do that. But I just want to say I'm not saying any of these books are books that should be like taken off of shelves. God knows we have too many parents already trying to take books off of shelves because they don't feel like just having conversations with their children and being parents. They also are like weirdly against drag queens, even though drag queens are delightful and absolutely want to voluntarily provide a safe space for their children, but that's another topic. Okay, I have to take it back. There is one book on this list that I'm telling everybody to skip.
The entire world is obsessed with Modelland.
The dreaded Modelland. My podcast partner, co-collaborator, Gabe Kustick, and I spent, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. Every Saturday, we read Modelland until we finished it. We read it cover to cover. I don't know how many other people can say that, just because the book didn't sell very well. It was supposed to be the first in a trilogy. Its sequel books got canceled because of how poorly it sold, and also several people who have covered it in depth online. Here are suggestions of full covers will be linked, and we'll possibly do our own deep dive into it at some point in the future, because that definitely deserves a video its own. But many people who have done videos on the book haven't even read it all the way through, and that's not like shade to them. I'm not like bragging, me like, oh, I read all of Modelland. It's not a braggable thing. I question my life choices daily. I at times wish I had ditched out of Modelland and spared myself the trauma, at least some of it. Everything that could be seen as triggering or offensive is in Modelland. If you don't know, Modelland is a book written by Tyra Banks, the supermodel, that Tyra Banks, in 2011. And this was her attempt at a YA novel. So this was her first and so far only attempt at entering the young adult fiction space. By her own words, she wants girls, preteens to like 20s, I think is like the age range that she gave. I'll see if I can find an interview.
The deeper level is that I was a young girl, very insecure, awkward. My passion is expanding the definition of beauty. And for girls to look in that mirror and find something that they love about themselves.
But she wants young people to be able to read this book, and as anybody who has read the book, so like 4 of you, knows, this book it's written with the verbiage of somebody that's trying to appeal to 8-year-olds. Like, everything has this like sparkly magical unicorn phrasing. That's the only way I can think of to describe it. But then every triggering, dark, inappropriate theme and thought and subject matter is in this book. SHED, self-deletion, SA, gratuitous amounts of violence and body horror, and oh yeah, a lot of sexual content surrounding the canonically 15-year-old girls who star in this novel. Everything from the characters showering in whipped cream with their teacher present, that's a thing, to this boy that this 15-year-old main character is interested in repeatedly putting his fingers in her mouth and talking about her feet.
Let me help you with that. Oh no, not the fingers in the mouth again. Bravo suggested he took the munchie from Tookie and held it to her lip. She opened her mouth to take a bite, and as she was wrapping her lips around sweetness, a thick pool of her bloody saliva dribbled onto Bravo's hand. Tyra!
Tyra, why?
Yes! Zarpesa screeched from her bed. Tutu just mouth pee-peed all over you.
Tyra, why?
I needed so many showers.
Boys and girls, teenagers having to wrestle each other naked to, and I quote, and I'm so sorry YouTube is gonna get pissed at me for saying this, but the big thing with this character is that she's overly sexualized. Again, the character is 15, and at one point in the book they say that she was running, and the way that she was running like almost made running pornographic. Again, child character. The amount of times we screamed, "She's 15, Tyra. What are you doing?" at the book as we were reading it, as you guys screamed with us at your screens, was abhorrent. And this is a book that's meant for young people. And even if it wasn't, I'm an adult person, and reading about these teenagers being put in these compromising positions was so disturbing to me, because I just had to realize that an adult human sat back and thought of this. It was so dark. There's also this one building where it's like their dorm room and it's called the D, and there's all kinds of innuendos made about these girls making sure that they go back to the D every single night, and it's just like, it's weird. It's really weird and uncomfortable and like not okay. And the reason why I don't think more people are talking about how not okay it is because it's written by a supermodel who's a woman who does not fit the profile of somebody who we as a society really want to think about potentially doing harm, intentionally or not, to children. And that's the same thing with Colleen Ballinger, is like, she is a literal mother with like 3 kids, I think. Nobody wants to think about her being predatory to children. Nobody wants to think about anybody being predatory to children, because those are children.
Rumors look like facts when you don't mind the gaps. I won't survive in the crash like hay.
And it pisses me off so much that somebody that has this big platform, who has the ability to actually do good, has been just pulling this shit for years. It pisses me off that I as an adult have to worry about harmful, uncomfortable things that me and my audience are gonna potentially sit through as we're just covering something that's for children. This should be the safest, easiest content on the planet, right? Like, this is definitely not a lifeline to Colleen in any way. I've seen the coverage around her children's book. It is not child appropriate, and it's quite disturbing for all ages. Fun for all ages, but like the opposite of that, the bad version of that, the inverse version of that. But what I am saying is, it's not an anomaly, sadly. Like, people act like inappropriate things don't fly under the radar in kids media all of the time. And again, not saying you should take these books away. I'm absolutely not saying that. I do not believe in the efforts to take books off shelves, as if censorship and less accessibility is akin to being morally upright instead of just having conversations about things. I'm just saying each parent and each of us individually, parent or not, should just speak a little bit more about what's sometimes being gotten away with in certain pieces of media. Like, that's kind of what I've done on this channel for the entirety of the 3 years that I've had it, right? Is just not saying, oh, that is bad, let's pretend it doesn't exist, but instead saying, let me try to parse out the parts of each piece of media and deciding what is good about it and what is bad about it, and does the good outweigh the bad, or do I just want to skip this one? I think bad actors like Colleen Ballinger are sadly not uncommon, and they get away with this stuff all of the time. And as somebody who has spent quite a lot of my time over the past few years covering media that was originally intended for kids, that I'm now looking back on from my own childhood with an adult lens, I think it's an important conversation to have. And I think now is a good time to have it, considering the fact that all eyes are on this person that really fucked up and does not seem to know or care that they did so. Because I don't know how she sleeps at night. My mods, and huge shout out to my mods, you guys are phenomenal. My mods and I spend a great deal of our time trying to make sure that this channel is a safe space for as many people as it can be. And while I'm aware that I'm an adult making content geared towards other adults, and that I have every right to do that, real talk, there are times when a teenager wanders into my live stream and I don't want to say something that they shouldn't be hearing in front of them. Like, I certainly don't feel comfortable doing that, even though I know that, like, the viewers that see me are somewhat out of my control. I feel the need to, and absolutely have done, hard pivots in topic changes, because even though this content isn't intended for children, and I'm not every child's parent, I want to do what I can to keep kids safe. As somebody who grew up in the first true internet generation, I know how unsafe the internet can be, and I don't know how somebody can do this and purposefully make content for children and purposefully put this stuff in it without giving it a second thought, whether it's Colleen Ballinger, beloved past tense YouTuber, or Tyra Banks, the supermodel, or anybody else. I don't know how you do this, and it's been pissing me off. I've been walking around my house so angry ever since this whole, I was gonna say drama started, but the truth is, as much as somebody is going to be like, Avery, why are you talking about this drama? It's not drama, to quote the documentarian Swoop, who is wonderful. It's not drama, it's dangerous. These are real children being put at risk by a YouTuber who is not looking out for them. These are real DJs who are writing very concerning things about the very young characters who are supposed to appeal to very young real-life people. You know what I mean? And no one else is talking about it because hardly anybody else except for me and my audience care about this kind of content. The epitome of obscure. So hopefully it's so obscure that no modern day kids are seeing it, but I just wanted to talk about it while we're all collectively having this moment of it as an internet where we're just like, everybody stop, let's talk about this. We gotta look out for each other because there's a lot of people on the internet who maybe not have the best intentions, and there's a lot of children on the internet unsupervised. I had a 10 years old, guys, wander into my live stream one time. And they were very sweet, but me and my mods were like having a collective panic attack because 10, that's like too young to even have a YouTube account, technically. They were in a live chat. I lost sleep worrying about that child's safety that night. My mods and I had a conversation behind the scenes like, oh my god, guys, is this child okay? Are we doing everything we can to make sure that this child is okay? So yeah, that's my very long-winded rant. I hope this video makes sense. There's a non-zero chance that I end up scrapping the whole thing because I've got so many different topics rattling around in my brain right now, and I'm sure nobody else needs to hear another person talking about how crazy this whole situation is. But if you're watching this far, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who looks out for each other in our community so that our community gets to kind of be this little safe haven, hopefully. And I promise I'll go back to talking about like the regular things that I talk about where we just like watch a show and like laugh and stuff. And I'll probably say fuck a lot because, you know, this channel is not tailored to children, unlike, you know, the Miranda Sings brand, who did a live show where she put Cheez-Its down her pants and then had a 9-year-old reach into... But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please stay safe out there, you guys. And also, still somehow off topic from the very wandering topic of this video, but, you know, if you're a YouTuber, please, I'm begging you, remember that your viewers aren't your friends in real life. Like, especially if they're children. Like, obviously, as a creator, I know what it is to appreciate the community that has rallied around me and to be happy and grateful that they're there and want to create a safe space for them. I also found it like a dick move that in Colleen's ukulele song, Jesus, she made the point to say like, oh, I didn't understand I shouldn't respond to fans. And it's like, no. Because that makes it sound like some kid just like messaged you out of the blue and was just like, gee golly whiz, you have the best YouTube videos ever. And you just said, thanks for watching, have a good day, stay in school. Like, if you were simply just responding to show appreciation and to be courteous to your fans, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that if it was appropriate. But that's not what was happening. Like, this lady was sending group chat messages to a bunch of children about her ex-husband's penis? What the fuck is that about? Like, it's so weird to see an adult human who's so successful clearly need validation from actual children. Like, I ran an after-school program for like 2.5, almost 3 years, and like, I understand wanting to be a mentor, and I understand wanting to create a safe space for children, and I understand wanting, you know, to be a good role model and help kids, you know, hope that kids understand that there are adults that believe in them. But that's not even sort of what she did, and the fact that she wants to try to change the framing to make unsuspecting people believe that that's why people are mad at her is gross and dishonest. And the whole situation's gross. I've tried to stop talking about this like 3 different times now. Everything else has already been said. It struck me when I was seeing some of the content that was made for kids that was not made for kids, that more than once I was reminded of something else that we covered, especially just talking about the books. We didn't even touch on any of the kids shows and stuff that we've seen. But it just struck me as like how many times I kind of remembered something else that I felt was equally inappropriate, and I just thought it was time that we had a bigger conversation about this. So that's where I'll leave you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Everything you do to support this channel means the world to me. If you're new here and you're a fan of nonsense, maybe consider sticking around because I post nonsense all the time. And remember, my name is Avery. I'm a YouTuber if you say so, because thanks to you guys, this is technically a YouTube channel. Bye, guys. You know what Modelland needs, and like all of these creepy books, you know what they need? They need drag queens to read them to filth and then choose to read better, safer books to their children, because those queens actually do care about children.